Hey everybody, this is a follow-up video to the V-Ray materials I released, and basically I'm just going to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of using the V-Ray render engine. So, as a general rule of thumb, in my opinion, I think that you should use V-Ray only when your project needs to be very, very realistic and you're okay with having long render times. Like, see if I can pull up the file. When I was doing the water scene for the Deliverance Taj. That I used V-Ray for the Spartan and the water, and that had render times upwards of 50 minutes per frame sometimes, and that was a bitch. You know, as you can probably imagine, it was not fun. It sucked, but I had time and I wanted it to be as realistic as possible. And I guess I can't find the project file. Maybe I can. Let's try this. Okay, that's really nice. What the fuck? Okay, yeah, this is definitely not what I want. Alright, so we're gonna close this. Sorry about that. But anyways, so only if you need it to be really realistic and you have time. Because if you need this out on a deadline, it may take a long time. And the other time that I would use things is if you have a very simple scene and the render times are not going to be very bad. If you use V-Ray, it's going to make everything just look that much better. Your shadows, your lighting, your reflections, they're all going to look better. And since it's a simple scene, you're not going to kill your render times too much. So I think that's a good time to use V-Ray as well. So some of the disadvantages beyond the render times, which I've just talked about, you know, the Cinema 4D modules, or not modules, but just some of the things that you might be used to working with, like skies. You know, it's just really, they're a really easy way to set up lighting if you just want to, you know, slap on the material, slap on some reflections, and throw out a sky. It's a really easy way to just build some reflections. I'm going to delete this light because it's making my reflections blown out, but you know, there, super easy. I've got some nice looking reflections, and this doesn't work with V-Ray. So if I try to add a V-Ray material to the sky, it shows up in my you know, HUD or whatever, or display for whatever reason. But if I go to render it, let's go into the light settings real quick. Overcast sky. If I go into the light, there, you know, there's no reflections, even though I added a reflection material, and obviously the sky was not rendered. So for whatever reason, V-Ray does not work with that sky. And there are ways around that. You know, you can make a giant ass sphere and light it up, and then add an HDRI to it and reverse the normals. But you know, it's a pain in the ass if you're doing a simple scene and you just want some nice reflections. So, you know, in that case, you really just want to stick with you know, the regular Cinema 4D render engine. And it's the same thing with floors, backgrounds, foregrounds, stages, I assume, environment, I assume. It's just some of the Cinema 4D things don't work in V-Ray. And I don't really know why that is, but whatever. You know, it's just one of those things. So that's about it. I would say, you know, in between those two extremes of really simple and really complex and needs to be realistic, try to use the Cinema 4D render engine. You know, you can get great results with the Cinema 4D render engine, and your render times will likely be less, and you know, your modules are going to work correctly. You're going to be used to the materials. But if you need something to be really realistic, or if you just want it to really be nice and pop and have the shadows and lighting look really good on a simple project, then definitely switch to V-Ray. So